One American submarine terrified the Japanese Navy so completely that convoy commanders began changing entire shipping routes to avoid waters where it might be waiting. Patrol after patrol, ship after ship, this submarine built a reputation that bordered on legend. Then, during what should have been another routine attack, a single torpedo did something almost impossible. Instead of racing toward its enemy, it turned around. Within minutes, America's deadliest submarine was fighting for its own survival. This is the extraordinary true story of USS Tang. By 1944, World War II had reached a turning point across the Pacific. American forces were advancing island by island, while Japanese supply lines stretched across thousands of miles of open ocean. Every transport carrying fuel, ammunition, food, or reinforcements became a lifeline for Japan's war effort. The United States Navy understood one simple truth: destroy those lifelines, and entire enemy armies would slowly collapse without enough supplies to continue fighting. No weapon proved more effective at that mission than the American submarine force. Operating silently beneath the Pacific, these submarines hunted Japanese merchant convoys day and night. Unlike massive battleships fighting spectacular surface engagements, submarines fought unseen. Their victories rarely made newspaper headlines during the war, yet they quietly crippled Japan's economy and military logistics with remarkable efficiency. Historians now estimate that American submarines sank more than half of Japan's merchant shipping during the conflict, despite representing only a small fraction of the U.S. Navy. Among this elite force, one submarine quickly separated itself from the rest. Commissioned in October 1943, USS Tang was a Balao-class submarine designed for long-range operations deep inside enemy-controlled waters. Measuring over 300 feet in length and powered by powerful diesel-electric engines, Tang combined speed, endurance, and striking power into one remarkably capable warship. Armed with 10 torpedo tubes and carrying dozens of torpedoes, it was built for one purpose: to hunt. But steel and machinery alone never created legends. The submarine's greatest advantage stood inside the control room. Its commanding officer, Lieutenant Commander Richard O'Kane, was already respected throughout the submarine force before taking command of USS Tang. Earlier in the war, O'Kane had served as executive officer aboard USS Wahoo under the aggressive and innovative Captain Dudley "Mush" Morton. Those patrols reshaped American submarine tactics forever. O'Kane learned that success belonged to captains willing to think faster, attack closer, and strike before the enemy understood what was happening. When he finally received command of his own submarine, he brought those lessons with him. Training aboard USS Tang became relentless. Every sailor understood that survival depended upon precision. Torpedo crews practiced loading until every movement became instinctive. Helmsmen repeated emergency maneuvers until reactions became automatic. Sonar operators learned to recognize distant propeller sounds that most men would never notice. Every patrol demanded absolute discipline, because one mistake beneath the ocean could never be undone. That preparation soon began producing extraordinary results. On its very first war patrol, USS Tang immediately demonstrated that something about this submarine and its crew was different. The Pacific was about to discover a new hunter. USS Tang's first combat patrol began in the summer of 1944, when American forces were steadily pushing across the Pacific toward Japan. Every successful submarine patrol tightened the blockade around the Japanese Empire, cutting off fuel, food, weapons, and reinforcements desperately needed on distant battlefields. From the beginning, Richard O'Kane refused to fight cautiously. Many submarine commanders preferred firing from long range, giving themselves extra time to escape after launching torpedoes. O'Kane believed that approach often wasted valuable opportunities. Instead, he pushed USS Tang dangerously close to enemy convoys before attacking, reducing the distance enough to improve accuracy while giving Japanese escorts far less time to react. It was a calculated risk. A mistake could leave the submarine trapped beneath enemy destroyers, dropping depth charges only moments later. But when the plan worked, the results were devastating. Using darkness, weather, and careful positioning, USS Tang repeatedly slipped through Japanese escort screens that many commanders considered nearly impossible to penetrate. Torpedoes struck with deadly precision before the submarine disappeared beneath the waves once again. Convoy after convoy reported sudden explosions, burning transports, and attackers that seemed to vanish without warning. The victories came quickly. During successive war patrols, USS Tang destroyed tankers carrying precious fuel, heavily loaded cargo ships, troop transports, and other vessels essential to Japan's ability to continue the war. Every ship sent to the bottom meant fewer supplies reaching isolated Japanese garrisons already struggling across the Pacific. The submarine's reputation spread throughout the American fleet. Crew members aboard other submarines began hearing stories about Tang's astonishing patrol reports. Naval commanders noticed the growing list of confirmed sinkings. Intelligence officers recognized that one submarine was producing results far beyond expectations. Behind every successful attack stood an exceptionally disciplined crew. Life aboard USS Tang was demanding, exhausting, and often uncomfortable. More than 80 men shared narrow compartments packed with machinery, torpedoes, ammunition, and supplies. Fresh air disappeared within days of leaving port. Heat built inside the steel hull. Diesel fuel mixed with engine oil, battery fumes, and the smell of seawater, creating an atmosphere every submariner remembered for life. Sleep rarely came easily. Sailors rotated through long watches, maintenance, combat drills, and constant repairs. There was little privacy and almost no silence. Yet months of relentless training transformed individual sailors into a crew that trusted one another completely. That trust became their greatest weapon. Whenever sonar detected distant propellers, every man knew exactly where to go and exactly what to do. Torpedo men loaded weapons with remarkable speed. Fire control specialists calculated firing solutions under intense pressure. Engineers kept the submarine running despite endless mechanical strain. Each successful attack depended upon dozens of specialists performing perfectly together. Richard O'Kane encouraged initiative as much as discipline. Unlike commanders who controlled every detail personally, O'Kane expected officers and enlisted sailors alike to think independently during rapidly changing situations. That confidence built a crew capable of reacting calmly even when battle plans changed without warning. Patrol after patrol, the victories continued. By late 1944, USS Tang had become one of the most feared American submarines operating in the Pacific. Japanese shipping losses mounted while surviving convoy crews increasingly reported aggressive submarine attacks that appeared almost impossible to defend against. The submarine's growing success earned admiration throughout the U.S. Navy. Yet O'Kane never allowed success to become overconfidence. He understood that every patrol began with the same reality: one mistake, one mechanical failure, or one lucky enemy attack could erase months of extraordinary achievements within seconds. None of the crew could have imagined that the greatest danger waiting ahead would come from the very weapon they trusted most. USS Tang soon departed on what would become its fifth and final war patrol. Neither Richard O'Kane nor his crew realized they were sailing toward one of the most extraordinary and tragic moments in American naval history. By October 1944, USS Tang had already completed 4 extraordinary combat patrols. Its 5th mission would take the submarine into the dangerous waters of the Formosa Strait, one of Japan's busiest remaining shipping routes. American commanders expected heavy resistance. Richard O'Kane expected another opportunity. Night had become Tang's greatest ally. Under darkness, enemy lookouts struggled to detect submarines running on the surface, while American radar gave Tang a crucial advantage. O'Kane preferred bold nighttime attacks, moving aggressively into convoy formations before striking at close range. The tactic demanded absolute confidence from every sailor on board, but by now, the crew trusted one another completely. During the opening days of the patrol, USS Tang continued its remarkable success. Japanese cargo ships, transports, and escorts suddenly found themselves under attack from an enemy they could barely see. Torpedoes raced silently through the darkness before violent explosions lit the horizon. Once again, Tang slipped away before escort vessels could organize an effective counterattack. Each successful attack added another chapter to an already extraordinary combat record. By the night of October 24th, USS Tang located another heavily defended Japanese convoy. Through the periscope, O'Kane carefully studied the formation. Multiple targets steamed through the darkness, while escort ships searched constantly for hidden submarines. It was exactly the kind of situation where one mistake could become fatal. O'Kane decided to attack. One torpedo left the submarine, then another, then another. One after another, explosions echoed across the sea as Japanese ships erupted into flames. Confusion spread throughout the convoy. Escorts turned sharply, searchlights swept across the water, and frantic radio messages filled the night. For the crew inside Tang, it looked like another perfectly executed attack. Then came one final opportunity. A surviving target crossed directly ahead. O'Kane ordered one last torpedo fired. The weapon left the tube exactly as expected. Inside the control room, everyone waited. The helmsman spun the submarine into a desperate turn while engines pushed for maximum speed. Every second mattered. Every sailor understood exactly what was happening. They were trying to outrun their own torpedo. Inside the submarine, the atmosphere changed from disciplined confidence to raw survival. Men braced themselves against steel bulkheads as Tang leaned sharply through the water. Gauges shook. Machinery thundered. Orders echoed through the control room with practiced urgency. Then, a violent explosion ripped through the submarine. The torpedo had found its target. Lights failed instantly. Equipment crashed from its mountings. Seawater burst into damaged compartments with terrifying force. The submarine that had survived countless enemy attacks had been mortally wounded by one of its own weapons. Within moments, USS Tang began sinking beneath the surface of the Taiwan Strait. Inside the darkness, the crew faced a terrifying new reality. The war above the ocean no longer mattered. Now the battle was simply to stay alive. USS Tang settled toward the bottom of the Taiwan Strait. Darkness quickly replaced the chaos of battle. Inside the submarine, twisted steel, rising water, and failing electrical systems left the surviving crew with almost no time to think. Every compartment became a race against flooding, smoke, and the crushing pressure of the sea. Many sailors never had the chance to escape. Those who survived gathered in the forward torpedo room. Although uncommon, the danger had been recognized by submarine crews, and the loss of USS Tang reinforced the importance of continued improvements in torpedo reliability, crew procedures, and operational safety. Yet focusing only on that final malfunction overlooks what USS Tang truly accomplished. During just 5 combat patrols, the submarine earned one of the most remarkable records in American naval history. Its attacks crippled Japanese shipping, disrupted vital supply routes, and demonstrated how a single submarine could influence an entire campaign across the Pacific. Richard O'Kane later received the Medal of Honor for his extraordinary leadership during USS Tang's final patrol, while the submarine itself received 2 Presidential Unit citations in recognition of its exceptional combat service, an honor shared by only one other American submarine of the entire war. Today, historians still debate the exact number of ships USS Tang sank, because wartime records from both sides continue to be studied. What has never been disputed, however, is the submarine's place among the most successful boats ever to serve in the United States Navy. The torpedo that turned back became the most famous chapter of USS Tang's story. It was never the whole story. Long before that final explosion beneath the Taiwan Strait, USS Tang had already earned its place in history through extraordinary courage, relentless determination, and a crew willing to face impossible odds beneath the Pacific Ocean. History often remembers the way legends end, but sometimes the ending hides something even greater. The real legacy of USS Tang wasn't the torpedo that destroyed it. It was the thousands of miles it silently sailed, the convoys it never allowed to reach their destination,